Good afternoon. It is Friday, August 14th, 2020. You know, I've always had some friends that enjoyed fishing. Years ago, I was serving as a youth minister at a church in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we took a group of teenage boys up to one of the mountain lakes for a fishing trip. One of the boys just bragged all the way up there how he was a marvelous fisherman, that he would catch the biggest fish, the most fish, that he had a special fishing pole, that we didn't even need to bring any food because he'd catch enough to feed us for the whole weekend, and so forth. We get to the lake, set up our tents for the camping, and around dusk, head down to the lake to go fishing. Mr. Big Mouth drowned a bunch of worms, tried every bait in the tackle box, and didn't even get a nibble. One of the other boys, one of the smaller boys, who had not bragged at all, had just a simple bamboo pole with a line, a hook, and a little bobber on it. And he used some canned corn. And he caught his daily limit in half an hour. Out of the whole group, he was the only one to catch fish that night, and he had a nice string of trout. Well, all of the other boys had been listening to Mr. Big Mouth and following his instructions because he talked a real good talk. But the next morning, when we headed down to the lake, a couple of the boys lagged back and asked the littlest real fisherman how to catch fish. By the second morning, even Mr. Big Mouth was asking the real fisherman how to catch fish. You see, there are those who get a lot of hooks wet, and there are those who catch fish. The real fisherman was also the only one that brought cornmeal and vegetable oil to fry the fish in. He had the experience and the knowledge to actually catch fish, and he was very effective at catching fish. If you want to learn how to fish, learn from someone who actually catches fish, not the one with the best fish stories. Jesus caught men, not fish. In Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 to 25, in the New Living Translation, second edition, we hear about some of the disciples joining Jesus. It says, one day as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net in the water, for they fished for a living. Jesus called out to them, "Come, follow me, and I'll show you how to fish for people." And they left their nets at once and followed him. A little further up the shore, he saw two other brothers, James and John, sitting in a boat with their father, Zebedee, repairing their nets. And he called them to come too. They immediately followed him, leaving the boat and their father behind. Jesus traveled throughout the region of Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and announcing the good news about the kingdom. And he healed every kind of disease and illness. News about him spread as far as Syria, and people soon began bringing to him all who were sick. And whatever their sickness or disease, or if they were demon-possessed or epileptic or paralyzed, he healed them all. Large crowds followed him wherever he went. People from Galilee, the 10 towns, Jerusalem, from all over Judea, and from east of the Jordan River. It must have been an amazing, exciting time. Jesus taught, he healed, and he gathered crowds. The fervor of the increasing crowds, the excitement of all of the pain and anxiety and illnesses being healed, the camaraderie of the 12 as they had their special private times with Jesus. Can you imagine how unique and special they felt? Meanwhile, there was another disciple. You may remember him, called John the Baptist. He was having a tough time. Matthew chapter 11, verses 2 through 6 says, John the Baptist, who was in prison, heard about all the things the Messiah was doing. So he sent his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you the Messiah we've been expecting? Or should we keep looking for someone else? Jesus told them, go back to John and tell him what you've heard and seen. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cured, the deaf hear, and the dead are raised to life. And the good news is being preached to the poor. And tell him, God blesses those who do not turn away because of me. We all want our Christian experience to be like the disciples in the early times, with all of its joy and power and excitement. But while they were celebrating and rejoicing, John the Baptist was languishing in prison. Sometimes we feel more like John the Baptist than we are like James and John and Peter and Andrew in those early, exciting days of the ministry. We need to hear by faith that God blesses those who do not turn away because of him. Do not turn away. Live by faith and wait for the blessing. You may be having an early ministry kind of experience with God right now. God bless you and enjoy the ride. But you may be more like John the Baptist and feel stuck and alone and insecure. And here comes Jesus with a special message just for you. And he says, God blesses those who do not turn away. May this day you not turn away and live by faith and wait for the blessing. God bless you.